A very warm good evening to each one of you present today. We feel honored to have with us Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Neizo Puro, Department of Botany, Nagaland University, Lumami. Dr. Neizo Puro has undertaken consultancy services on ecology and biodiversity assessment and listing of trees in community conserved forests in Nagaland. He has also initiated the local people to maintain biodiversity registers. We also feel honored to have with us Professor Asa Gupta, President of today's function and convener of SEED, distinguished scientists, research scholar, college lecturers, members of SEED, and lastly, all the esteemed participants. Today, SEED, Society for Environmental Education and Development, Manipur, is privileged to say few words. I extend my gracious welcome to all the participants. I welcome our chief guest, Dr. Neizo Puro, Department of Botany, Nagaland University, for sparing his precious time in delivering lecture on the topic biodiversity, the essence of ecotourism in Dzukou Valley, Nagaland. I also welcome Professor Asa Gupta, President of today's function and convener of SEED. Biodiversity is extremely important for the processes that support all life on Earth, including humans. The International Day for Biological Diversity is a United Nations sanctioned International Day for the promotion of biodiversity issues. It is held every year on 22nd May. The theme of the International Day for Biological Diversity 2024 is Be Part of the Plan, which puts to light the unique roles individuals play in supporting the implementation of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which also known as the Biodiversity Plan. It sets goals and concrete measures to stop and reverse the laws of nature by 2050. May I now request Dr. Daisy Angom, Secretary of SEED and Assistant Professor of Thoubal College, Manipur, to highlight about the Biological Diversity Day. So over to Daisy Angom.
Thank you, Vichesuri. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Neizo Puro, President of today's function, Dr. Asa Gupta, and all the respected participants of today's observation. I, Dr. Daisy Angom, Assistant Professor, Thoubal College, Thoubal, would like to highlight in brief about the importance of today's observation. It is a known fact that biodiversity is the basis of our survival and existence. It is a part of nature which includes the differences in genes among individuals of species, the variety and richness of all plant and animal species at different scales in a region. Man, being omnivorous in nature, depends upon the natural species for its feeding requirements and are continuously engaged in destructive activities that are causing harm to our natural ecosystem. Many species are in danger of extinction and some have gone extinct because of our actions. It is also a fact that many species of our state are affected because of various anthropogenic activities and climate change. The rich diversity of species of the northeastern region, the Indo-Myanmar hotspot region, is now under threat. We are now facing drastic changes in ecosystem, loss of forest area, grasslands, wetlands, drying up of rivers, etc., which challenges the lives of both terrestrial and aquatic flora, leading to the destruction in ecosystem services. So, there is an urgent call to mitigate this serious issue. Steps to save our biological diversity is needed from all sections of our society. Coming to the biological conservation, the United Nations of General Assembly decided to observe the International Day of Biodiversity every year on 22nd May. This universal observation commemorates the adoption of the text of the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD, on 22nd May 1992 and provides a unique opportunity to foster wide support for the convention, its protocols, and related action framework. The theme of Biodiversity Day 2024 is Be a Part of the Plan. This theme is a call or a demand to action for all stakeholders to halt and reverse the loss of biodiversity by supporting the implementation of the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, also referred as the Biodiversity Plan. This plan offers opportunities for cooperation and partnership among diverse sectors, that is, government, indigenous people, local communities, non-government organizations, lawmakers, businesses, and individuals with an aim to encourage to highlight the ways in which they are supporting the implementation of the plan. Each and every one of us has a role to play and be a part of this plan, that is the conservation of our biological diversity. This year, the celebration of the International Day of Biodiversity will coincide with two meetings of subsidiary bodies of the Convention on Biological Diversity, both taking place at Nairobi, viz. Namely the 26th meeting of the subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice, and the fourth meeting of the subsidiary body on implementation, which will be held from 21st to 29th May. The International Day of Biodiversity 2024 is expected to increase the visibility momentum in the lead to the 16th meeting of the Conference of Parties, that is COP16, to be held at Colombia from 21st October to 1st November. So I would like to conclude the brief importance of today's observation with the words of the IPCC, that is, the world must tackle climate change and biodiversity loss together if either issue is to be successfully solved. Thank you, and I hope that our resource person, the distinguished guest, Dr. Neizo Puro, an expert in ecological studies, will enlighten us more about biodiversity in his talk. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Daisy Amon, so much for your elaborating speech on the biodiversity. May I now request Dr. Sophia Moranton, member of SEAT and assistant professor, SK Women College, Nambol, to introduce our speaker to the participants. So over to Dr. Sophia Moranton.
Thank you. Good evening, respected invited speaker, Dr. Neizo Puro, members of Society for Environmental Education and Development, Manipur, faculties of different colleges, and all the participants. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce respected speaker of today's webinar on International Day of Biological Diversity, Dr. Neizo Puro. Dr. Neizo Puro has completed postgraduate from Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, MPhil from Delhi University, and PhD from Nagaland University. His research area are plant ecology and ecosystem studies. He has also completed research project under DBT and MSIF as principal investigator. Dr. Neizo Puro has an experience of teaching the undergraduate students at Kohima Science College. Presently, he teaches MSc and supervised PhD students of Botany and Nagaland University, Lumami. He presented papers in various international and national conferences. Recently, Dr. Neizo Puro co-edited a book titled Bioresources Conservation and Sustainability. Dr. Neizo Puro has also undertaken consultancy services in ecology and biodiversity assessment and listing of trees in community conserved forests in Nagaland. Also, he took a great initiative for the local peoples to maintain biodiversity register. Thank you. Over to Dr. Viteshwari.
Thank you, Dr. Sophia Morantam. Now, may I request Dr. Neizo Puro to deliver your speech. Over to Dr. Neizo Puro.
Thank you so much, Dr. Piteshwari. Thank you so much for leading us this evening. Daisy, for introducing the theme for today. Thank you, Sophia, for the introduction. And I also like to thank Professor Asha Gupta for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts today on this International Day of Biological Diversity. I think it's my second time on SEED to discuss something on the about Nagaland. Earlier was something on the traditional cuisines and food of Nagaland, and today I'll be presenting a talk on the diversity and its importance in ecotourism in the Dzukou Valley, Nagaland. And so I thank especially Professor Asha Gupta for having me this evening to share this talk. Thank you, ma'am. And with that, I would also like to greet everyone who has joined online. Happy
just 1 second. We have got Professor M.G. Tiwari, who was ex-president of Environmental Science section of Indian Science Congress Association. He's joining from USA, so it is great for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for joining us from the States. It's so encouraging to see you. Yeah. So with that, let me also greet everybody once again for joining, and also happy Biological Diversity Day. Almost the day is over for us. I think for Sir Tiwari, it must be a new day coming, but for us, it's the day is getting over today. Yeah, so without much ado, I just thought let me share something on a small work that me and our team we have worked in the Dzukou Valley for a short period of time. So this is the topic that I would like to discuss with them. Then, like I said, it's a small work, a project work that we have done in Dzukou Valley, and I would like to share this with you. I've entitled it as the Biodiversity, the Essence of Ecotourism in Dzukou Valley, Nagaland, on this International Day this year. Now, Dzukou Valley is also known as the Valley of Flowers, and also it is also called as the Valley of Dwarf Bamboos. These are some of the pictures to introduce to you, Dzukou Valley to you. Along with this, you can browse through the net and you will see a lot of Dzukou Valley pictures. This Dzukou Valley is a hot place for tourism in Nagaland, particularly for people who love trekking, camping, and also the nature. People who love nature, they always go there. So we have a lot of tourism here in Dzukou Valley. This Dzukou Valley connects both the state of Nagaland as well as Manipur at an altitude of about 2,400 meters above sea level. So in summer or post-monsoon, you will see a lot of luxurious growth and picturesque of various flowers blooming. And the winters are also beautiful in the sense that you will see that serpentine river that flows across the valley freezes, and therefore people come to see the freezing waters and enjoy the cold winters even in Dzukou Valley. So most of the pictures that you will see, even as you browse through the net, you will see a lot of pictures like this. And some of the pictures that you will see, people who have come, who write their names on stones, engraving their names, making it as a memory that will last for other people to come and see. Let me just introduce also to you some of the beautiful flowers that we could gather as we walk through the Dzukou Valley and then go on to some of the things that we would like to share with you today. So the common ones, the Gaultheria, you will see the Paris, Aconitum, Ranunculus, and also Primula and others. These are some of the flowers that you will see. Erythema, then Berberis, Edgeworthia, Rhododendron are very common and beautiful. The Gentiana that you will also see as you walk across the Dzukou Valley. Rhododendron arboreum is a common plant, a tree plant, medium-height tree plant in the Dzukou Valley. This is the beautiful flower that you will see. And on the right, you will see how it looks after the effect of fire, where the fire burns out the entire valley. So that's a contrast of the beauty and the effect of fire in Dzukou Valley. So these are some of names. I have not given some here, but anyway, you'll see some of the Primula. You will see Potentula, and also one of the endemic species called the Lilium macleanei in the Dzukou Valley. So these are some of the pictures that you will see. Just wanted to introduce to you our research team who we were along with them. Most of them were research scholars. Now they are all PhD scholars. We have a zoologist, we have a biochemist, biotechnologist, ecologist, and taxonomist traveling together to our work place where we did a little survey on the diversity in Dzukou Valley. So this is our team, our research team working in the field laying quadrats. This is the quadrant points that we have studied. Of course, we could place everything, but just to indicate to you that along the river and also just below the Japfa mountain, we have placed quadrats for studies to collect sample and also do some phytosociological studies and look into the diversity also. Two spots that we have considered for our research, but basically I will be talking to you today only on the Dzukou point. Maybe here and there I would like to compare it with Kigwema Potato Farm, which is below the Japfa mountain, so a little lower altitude than the Dzukou point. But of course, I will not stress much on this. Maybe a diversity comparison I would like to show later on as we get along. So this is our study site, the quadrats that we laid along the Dzukou Valley. Our objective of study is to inventorize plant species. Now, not much has been done. I think those basically, those who are botanists and all must have seen papers by the Botanical Society of India in the Forest Journal, Indian Forester, where now the present director Mao and Gogoi have published a paper on the Dzukou Valley, both from Nagaland and Manipur. Apart from them, not much literature we find in terms of listing of plant species. So we thought that could be one of our objective to list down or inventorize for inventorization. We didn't take a lot of the parameters, but we thought let's take a little some parameters to look into the impact of the ecological studies as well as the diversity indices. So we couldn't take the entire parameter, but just the basic core parameters we took to determine the IVI of trees, and also take the diversity index of plant diversity, species number, as well as the evenness index using both Shannon and the Peleos index. So these two indices we took to consider the measurement of plant diversity. And of course, for phytosociology, the basic parameters of frequency, density, abundance, and worked out the AYF ratio to look into the contiguous or distribution pattern of trees and shrubs in both the sampling sites. And also with that, we try to identify the dominant plant species in Dzukou Valley. So these are our simple objective that we took to consider and study the diversity in the Dzukou Valley. So our study was just a one-time study, and so we couldn't go back to after the next season. But with the one-time study, I just would like to present to you our data that we have and let you consider also. So a total of 92 species of plants belonging to 52 families were recorded from the study site, which was almost an autumn season that we were there for this study. So one season also. That's how much that we could collect. Herbaceous plants was found to have the most number of species with 43, followed by trees 21, 16 shrubs, 7 climbers, and 5 species of epiphytes that were recorded during our study time. And so the dominant families we have looked out for, we could find out where the Ericaceae and Rosaceae is having the 6%, and the rest we see the Poaceae, Polygonaceae, Ranunculaceae, Rubiaceae, and Urticaceae. If there are some of us who are not botanists, may find a little boring, so kindly bear with us when you look into the botanical names. I hope you will bear with us and go to discussion later on general topics as well. So these are some of the things that we see. The dominant plant species, basically Rosaceae, Ericaceae sharing about 6%, and 5 with the Asteraceae, Poaceae, and so on. So these are dominant plant families that were recorded during our studies. If we look at the abundance by frequency ratio, we're using Whitford Index 1941, we will see the distributional pattern of trees species basically at Dzukou point, which are about 100 contiguous pattern of distribution, whereas in Kigwema we will find they are even random as well as contiguous pattern of distribution of trees is what we found out in our distributional pattern. When we worked out the density and basal area for tree species, both the sampling sites, we found out that the Dzukou Valley and also Kigwema almost had the same basal area in terms of meters square per hectare. And the density number of individuals per hectare, of course, Kigwema had a more number of individuals per hectare. The Kigwema, which is of a lower altitude than Dzukou, which was on a higher altitude at 2,400. So that way the density was less, but the basal area cover was almost the same in both the sampling sites. The diversity of we're using paleo as well as the evenness diversity index shows that for trees we will see that the trees almost have the same diversity index as well as the evenness, so not much of difference between the two, which shows I think it's a good diversity of trees in that particular area. And then we also could see the shrubs, which are a little less, but the herbs hit high on 2.398 on the diversity index. However, on evenness, it was a little low, 0.712 on Peleo's evenness index in Dzukou Valley. So this is one of the indices that we could see. This is the Kigwema, which we see that diversity is almost high for all the life forms, there's trees, shrubs, and herbs, whereas the evenness was a little low in all the life form patterns in the Kigwema sampling sites. Betula utilis was quite dominant in the Dzukou Valley with the IVI of having about 62, then rhododendron followed by rhododendron macabiana. I'm sorry, there was a little, we couldn't do the italics here, but these are the dominant tree species having high IVI, which means they are quite important and dominant in Dzukou Valley, particularly for the trees. Betula, Rhododendron macabianum, Juniperus recurva, and Rhododendron arboreum. So these are the IVI thing that you will see. Compared to the Kigwema, which is of a lower altitude, we will see that Quercus shot up at 88.9 IVI, followed by the Brigacea longifolia and also Litzia monopetala. So these are, and also Magnolia also follows. So these are some of the dominant tree species in the lower altitude called the place called the Kigwema. That's below the Japfa mountain peak. These are some of the names of list of plants that I have listed. I think I will not go through all the individual names except to see the Ranunculaceae. We will see particularly the Aconitum and Nagaram, which is an important. Anemone is also an important and also considered to be one of the endemic species, may not necessarily be in Dzukou Valley, but the entire Northeast and so on. So these are some of the lists of plants. You will see medicinal plants, herbs also were available in terms of like berberis, and as well as aconitum is one, and so on. However, we can say that these species are not only confined to Dzukou Valley, they're also found elsewhere also, but medicinal plants were also found in the Dzukou Valley, which almost has a temperate type of climatic condition. So, so these are some of the list of plants that you see. Urea is one, berberis is another one of medicinal importance, and Pipenthes is also another one. So Araliaceae is also another important medicinal plant, and De Croix also is another one. Okay, so so let me just go through quickly and all these things. Rubia, Rosaceae, Ericaceae, Gaultheria, a lot of plants in the family of Ericaceae, Primulaceae. You will see different types of Primula and Angelhardia species. The Spicata, Lithocarpus is also available. Alnus also is available. Betula utilis is one of the common plant tree dominant. Magnolia campbelli is also another one. So these are some of the species that you will see, which we have also listed out in the Dzukou Valley. Erycima watai is also one. Paris polyphylla, which is an important medicinal plant, is also recorded. Curculigo is also another one, and so on. Sinundinaria roluana, there's a small this mistake here, which is the dominant, we call it as the dwarf bamboo, is that's the dominant shrub that you will see in the Dzukou Valley. So I'll not bore you all with all those details, just quickly come to some conclusions that I would like to make. The Dzukou area, that picturesque valley that you will say, is dominated by the dwarf bamboos, particularly we call this Sinundinaria roluana, which grows so vigorous and it dominates the entire valley. And we see the tree species were found to be lesser in number in Dzukou Valley. Some of the reasons why could be, as per our studies, we saw that the regeneration of tree species was there, more with the gymnosperms than the angiosperms. However, our assumption could be, we thought that fire is one of a big factor that destroys the tree species, because they are comparatively slow growing than the weeds, the shrubs and the others, and the Sinarundinaria overtakes, and they are more efficient in competition for resources and even growth, and therefore I think that could be one of the reasons in terms of competition of resources, and along with the factor of fire that destroys the tree growth and tree regeneration. So that could be one of the reasons, is what we assume, that the tree species are lesser. However, it's interesting also to note that the Serpentine River that cuts across the valley, and we are told that towards the Nagaland side, we have a lot of Sinarundinaria as dominant, but on the other side of the river, there are a lot of arboreum, rhododendron arboreum that dominates. And so even in that valley that's separated by the river, we see two types of vegetation in the Dzukou Valley, which is quite interesting even to look at as an ecologist. So the dominant tree species recorded in this area are Betula, Juniperus, rhododendron, and so on that I already mentioned. Shrub layer is dominated by Sinarundinaria. Berberis were also found, Gaultheria, rhododendron, and so on. Herbaceous species plants were reached during that period by Conitum, Nagarum, Primula, Ranunculus, and so on. So these were some of the Paris was there, but it wasn't as dominant as Conitum and Primula at the point of time when we were studying. So we are told that the flora of a place is a result of the interplay of a combination of factors, basically the soil, climate, and the topography. And Nagaland being a mountainous, it's prone to heavy rainfall so long till today. But I think because of the climate change, we're also seeing the pattern of rainfall being a little different now. The intensity and the frequency is slightly, not slightly, it's differing. And even the time of rainfall is delayed. The monsoon is slightly delayed kind of a thing. And so things are changing because of climate change. However, past ages, there were heavy rainfall, and so one could expect that the soil depth to be very thin in the mountainous regions. Yet, however, in spite of the heavy rain and also the surface runoff that wash off the upper layer of the soil, even the organic matter content, yet Nagaland perhaps has one of the thickest topsoil layers compared to any part in India, which I think is a plus for the growth of trees as well as the natural vegetation. So those are some of the things that we could come across. This is just a data that I just wanted to show all of you. This is from the same paper, but by Mao and Gogoi. They worked for a period of about 3 to 4 years, I think, with different seasons. And so both in Nagaland as well as in Manipur, the Dzukou Valley, they could generate about 335 species belonging to 223 genera and 114 families, both with the subtropical evergreen, temperate, and alpine forests in Dzukou Valley. Of all the records that they have made, 2 new generic records were made, Oreochis and Siloglossum. So that was a new generic record that they have reported. For Northeast India, there were about 24 species new recorded in the study that they have made. I will not read out all these names. And also they reported that about 6% of the plants recorded were endemic to the area or endemic to the eastern Himalayas. So this is Mao and Gogoi's report on the Dzukou Valley. Indian Forester is where you can get it. And so quickly coming to the conclusion part of it, I just don't want to take too much of time. Now, the question for today, basically, I think is this: how can biodiversity enhance ecotourism? Tourism is an important thing in terms of economy. We all understand that. Could be a cultural tourism, could be an ecotourism. It could be any kind of tourism, sports or anything. However, I consider ecotourism as one of the boon for the Northeast India. And ecotourism is also one of the key tourism aspects, particularly to Nagaland and to Dzukou Valley. We see a lot of influx of tourists, and times we see that it also degrades the environment. It also spoils nature by the tourists who are not concerned of the environment, and so plastics became a problem, and random utilization of resources also became a problem, disturbing the natural ecosystem in Dzukou Valley. But the point is, how can biodiversity enhance tourism? Basically, in Dzukou Valley, taking that as a pattern, I think, to all the northeastern states of India. A few points that I just would like to discuss with you today. One is control the factors that disturb the ecosystem. So identify what are the factors that disturb the ecosystem and learn to control those things. Major factor disturbing ecosystem is the anthropogenic activities, even by tourists themselves, scholars like you and I and many others. We need to work out a system where we can regulate the influx of tourists and also certain regulations to be given to people who visit this particular place, the Dzukou Valley. Anthropogenic activities is one. However, I also feel that the factor, basically fire, plays a great role in the ecosystem maintenance or ecosystem balance. The space agency in Northeast India, the studies, they have reported that the fire is one of the major ecological factor that disturb ecosystems in Northeast India. And fire is becoming more frequent in the forests in Northeast India. The same case, we have seen that the fire is always a factor in Dzukou Valley. So almost every year or alternate years, we see the fire that destroys or burns the entire trees and the vegetation in the Dzukou Valley. So I think just past 2-3 years back, we've seen how the government, the state disaster management, as well as the armed forces battled the fire that burned the entire Dzukou Valley, as well as the Jaffa mountain peak. Now, that's a big concern. The natural could be unnatural, or it could be ignited by some people, careless people also. We don't know. But it's important to control this fire as an ecological factor. However, I would like to throw to all of you the plus of fire. Our team has not really worked on the impact of fire on regeneration, as well as maintaining the balance, the vegetation, the species in the Dzukou Valley, but with our interaction with local people there. Our interaction with them was that we asked them, what has fire done to the ecosystem in Dzukou Valley? So the local people, to few that we have interviewed, they said that, yes, fire in a big scale, with big high intensity and magnitude, completely destroys the vegetation. However, they threw in a point saying that fire in some ways maintain the species that grow in the Dzukou Valley. So a lot of herbs that we see, shrubs that we see, do well after fire. But this fire should not be frequent, or it should not be of very high intensity, is what a word of caution that they also put in. And so which means our assumption is most probably the dwarf bamboos and others, Goltheria, and also the others that do well, must be, and they do well maybe because of the impact of fires as well. However, scientific studies and population studies will definitely throw more insights to it. But looking into the plus and minus of it, I think that's where we need to really study the factors. And if at all, fire can act as an agent to maintaining the balanced ecosystem, I think we need to learn to see what we can do with this factor. So that's one thing that I just wanted to throw to all of you today. Maintain the ecosystem balance. We need to look at the valley, we need to look at our forests, we need to look at our nature as an ecosystem, not just a mechanism where to earn money and so on. But I think nature needs a proper, well-balanced and healthy ecosystem. And then only we will see the rest of the ecosystem functions in homeostasis or in balance and so on. And so we must look at the ecosystem as a whole. We need to look at not as an individual species alone, but to see that the ecosystem needs to be balanced in terms of the climate, in terms of the vegetation, the life forms, as well as the edaphic factors that are involved in all the complex systems that we see in the ecosystem. And so we need to learn to look at nature. We need to learn to look at the conserved areas as an ecosystem as a whole. And that's what I would like to encourage. To encourage or to enhance ecotourism, our suggestion is to prioritize species for conservation in their natural habitat. It's also very important. Prioritization is so important. We need to look at conservation, but not just for the sake of conservation, but look at species. And as number 4 I've mentioned, we put it together as target species. Let's be more species specific and say, and with our suggestion could be that it could enhance ecotourism. People who love nature, people who love trees, people who love to see new and rare species, endangered species, medicinal species. I think it's important that we are able to target those species, conserve them and see that they are placed, and then put up informations and tell tourists, eco-tourists and people, say that such a time you can see, giving them the geotag and also the locations, and tell them that's a species where you can go and see a specific time and so on. So if you're able to have species-specific targets and advertise it, and also make it make the information to public well, I think that will go well with ecotourism. That's what our studies would like to suggest to people who are involved in maintaining, people, government agencies who are involved into it, and so on. So not just Dzukou Valley, not just for trekking, not just to be there for winter season. Yes, it's beautiful, no doubt about it. However, add value to the valley, add value to this tourist spot by identifying target species and say, yes, it's important, it's valuable, it's so important to see this kind of species in nature, and so we identify. And I think that's our job, to identify and tell people who are involved in management systems. And so finally, I also mentioned here, we need to have biodiversity registers and see, people coming and going and looking at the registers, maintain proper documents, and then we will be able to see species. Research, it will help researchers a lot. It will have people who will just come and go and look into it, give their comments. If there are new species that need to be reported, that can be added to the register, and so on and so forth. So people who are maintaining the management systems, I think, need to have a proper biodiversity register, not just a register where how many tourists have come, how many tourists have gone, and so on. That's also important. But being an ecotourist spot, I think we need to really have this document, so that species will not just be taken away, species will not just be randomly spoiled and so on, but people also will know the importance of the species, and they will also take care about it. And if you're not able to really go into into nature and see everything, then we can look into the register and then find out the details of the species, where they are, and so on, and then look at it, take photographs, also study as a researcher, and so on and so forth. So how can biodiversity enhance ecotourism? These are some of the few points that I've listed. Maybe we could slowly also think about it and discuss about it later on. So this is something that I just wanted to let you know. I thought it will be brief, and then like I said, I have not included all the parameters as such for the ecological, phytosociological studies, but a few things that I just picked up on our short stay and our research there at Dzukou Valley, because it's a very important tourist spot for the Nagas, and many, not only the Nagas, the Northeast as well as international tourists come and spend time in Dzukou Valley, and therefore they enjoy nature. But I think we also need to add value to nature and then let people enjoy and see that biodiversity has its value, biodiversity has its importance. The people will love nature, people will love to conserve nature, not just admire nature. And so that's a brief talk that I just want to share with the SEED and also Manipur, and also people who have joined from far and near. And so I think that's where I will conclude my talk. Thank you so much, Mrs. Wari. I think you can take over from there.
Thank you, Dr. Neizo Puro, so much for your stimulating speech. Now we are going to have an interaction section, which will be chaired by Professor Asar Gupta. So I request participants to raise a question or any clarification from Dr. Neizo Puro.
Yeah, those who are having queries to our respected speaker may please ask. It's open, it is interesting, because you see, it is Biodiversity Day and the theme is plan your action. And then when we are talking of plan your action, then ecotourism is one of the very significant thing where the biodiversity has to be taken care of. At the same time, the community which is living thereby and taking care of it, and they may be made as a sort of a partner in managing the thing and planning the resources, their benefit, their economy, their social welfare is involved, because they know that they depend on this diversity, they know they depend on these resources, and therefore they can take care of it better, they understand. So ecotourism, it's very significant topic on which he spoke. So I think there should be some questions, and please have questions to our speaker.
Okay. Very good evening to everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Such a beautiful talk. It is very interesting. And let me raise one very simple question. As an ecologist, as a researcher, so you have done a great work with regard to Dzukou Valley. So, sir, have you done any work on uh, like a study on carbon in Dzukou Valley?
Yeah, ma'am, carbon, basically you're talking about the carbon storage or stock
Yeah. Biomass on like carbon.
biomass.
Yes.
No, no, we have not done on carbon storage or biomass as such like that in Dzukou
Okay.
Valley yet. We have done in some other places regarding bamboo, but not in Dzukou Valley.
Okay, sir. And then I have one more question.
Yeah.
Sir, what makes the beautiful and rare Dzukou lily, which you have mentioned, Lilium macleanei, to endemic only to the Dzukou Valley? Or like as an ecologist, in a point of view, what could be the reason, like which makes it endemic only to Dzukou Valley?
Yes. Lilium macleanei is a very interesting plant, and I think it was first um, collected and recorded by Bentham in 18 something in Shiroi Valley in the Manipur. Initially, it was recorded there, but later on, it was also found in the Dzukou Valley. Now, what makes it significant and how it's endemic? Basically, endemic species are also influenced by the climatic factors, the edaphic factors, and the niche that where they grow. So, briefly, I think I can mention that those, particularly the high altitude, the cold temperature, and the soil conditions, we have not considered the soil at the moment. We have done a little few what you call parameters, but I couldn't present it today. Maybe because of those things, it's endemic in Dzukou Valley as well as the Shiroi Valley in Manipur.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
Actually, it
welcome.
is the interplay of ecology as well as the ecological, environmental, and evolutionary factors which are giving rise to all these things. And then, because a particular place, species, it has adopted, it has acclimatized, it is suitable to it, its association with the factors which are there, they make it unique, and then it survives there. It is doing well there. Its range becomes restricted and only available in that place. That is why the species, it is endemic, it is found only that place. And therefore, in Northeast India, this is very unique that about 50% of species out of 4,800 which are recorded angiosperms, out of it almost 50% are endemic. And it's very unique. It is not there in other part of India. So we are living in biodiversity hotspot, and it is our duty to monitor this diversity, to identify it, and to know it, what are its characteristic, whether it is vulnerable, whether it is, the population characteristics of it, because only the presence or occurrence will not do. But when we are talking of the species present in that area in association with others, we have to see also that what is its status, whether it is vulnerable, whether it is, in what way the status exists, and that is also required to be known. So Neeru, I think your
Yeah.
question is good. And then, yes, sir. Another
Yes.
another question.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I just have one doubt. No, so I just want your clarification whether
Yes.
the Siroi lily and this Dzukou lily are of the same species, because I have heard earlier that Siroi lily is Lilium macleanei and this Dzukou lily is Lilium chitrangani lighted. So
Yeah.
whether
Yeah, thank you, Daisy. It was a little debated earlier, but so far the BSI also has recorded it as Lilium macleanei. So the taxonomist and the Botanical Society of India has already come up and published it as the Lilium macleanei.
thank you, sir.
Yeah.
you see, there are differences arise. For example, polygonum is there around the which is there, or euphorbia is there, or polygonum is there. They've got some different type of characteristic when the moisture is more, when it is less, when the soil condition, for example, calcium is more or it is less. So these type of things, they become sometimes ecotypes. And then when we are talking about new species, then many times the taxonomies, they get confused also, and therefore their molecular characterization is very much essential. So to solve all these puzzles, of course, the taxonomies, they have done their part and they have established that yes, it is Lilium McLeany. But if the serious investigation is to be done by the molecular, biotechnologists and molecular scientists, they can do it and they can check further whether there is some molecular profile existing and whether it is so. Yes. Another question. Another question.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Good morning for this state and good evening for you people. Sir, I would. There is something you have
Good evening, sir.
Thanks for that. I visited your place, Nagaland and Mizoram, particularly Lostak Lake. I am thankful to Dr. Gupta that he has helped a lot for studying the Lostak Lake. Sir, one suggestion for you, sir. You have mentioned all the higher plants, angiospermic plant, but you should study, as some people of your Nagaland University should study the lower plants, particularly algal biodiversity. You people are always thinking about the higher plants, angiospermic plants, but you never mention about the pteridophyte, bryophytes, the Sia mercansia, and whatever it may be, or the algal biodiversity, that is the valley, some blue-green algae, or blue-green algae, or you can say cyanobacteria may be present there, and so their studies should be needed. That is my suggestion, sir. Thank you very much. It is my suggestion, sir. It is my advice.
Dr. Romeo is there, I think. Dr. Romeo, can you say something on it? Whether you are going to start the work or something, please talk about it. Dr. Romeo?
Yes. Good evening, madam. Good evening, Neizo sir, and Professor M.G. Tiwari, and all the participants.
Sir, he got one algae from Manipur, so that is why I'm asking now. He is employed there in Nagaland University. So, Dr. Romeo, please tell. Yes.
Regarding algae.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether you have started, you are planning, something you say about that place.
In Manipur.
Not in Manipur. I'm talking of Nagaland. Now you belong to Nagaland.
Okay.
That I know. I know.
As far as Nagaland is concerned. Yes. As far as Nagaland is concerned, now I'm undertaking two scholars for this algal biodiversity. One will work on this coal impact area in Changki village, and another will be in the streams in Juneboto districts. So after this I'll get some outputs regarding the algal biodiversity related with these streams, and some from this coal impact area where we can see some bioindicators, stress tolerant algae. That's all.
Yes, sir. He has done work on river system, then water quality and other things. He has published some papers, few papers. And then I think he has to initiate what you are suggesting. And it is a good suggestion, and that he will work definitely and come out nicely.
Yes, so diversity work on the algae is going on. One of our scholars have finished on the diversity in Kohima. The algal with Chaturvedi sir. Ferns have been done by Professor Jamir. Yet, of course, we had to pick up and do all these things again. And so, yes, things are going on now, but yet to cover even the Dzukou Valley yet. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any more query? Any more query to sir?
Sir, I have a small query, Neizo sir.
Yes, Romeo.
Yes, sir. Regarding this Dzukou Valley, have you studied any this related with the altitudinal variation in diversity of these plants in the Dzukou Valley?
Dzukou Valley itself, we have not considered altitudinal, but we, like I've shown earlier, we did a small study on the Kigwema area, which is lower than the Dzukou Valley, below the Japfa mountain peak. And so comparing those two, but in Dzukou Valley itself, we have not done that altitudinal studies, differentiations at the moment.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So any other query? Any other question to sir? I think they are satisfied and
Yeah.
with the speech. So over to Biteshwari.
Very
Now
nice
I request-
presentation. Thank you very much. Very nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Now I request Professor Asha Gupta to give her presidential speech.
Yeah.
Over to
Okay,
Professor.
Honorable Professor Tiwari, ex-president, Environmental Science Section, ISCA, and council member of it. Dr. Neizo from Nagaland University, our distinguished speaker for today's function. Other participants, seed members. I'm very happy that all of you could make it, that you have joined. Today in Manipur, we have here blackout. That is why you are seeing there the black in the frame. And I mean, at least in my side, in my area. So here, sir has chosen a very nice topic, ecotourism. And then what I have to say that when we are seeing mass tourism, many people, they visit a beautiful place because they want to relax, they want to take rest. But then there is lot of litter, lot of wastage, waste material are lying here and there. And then care has to be taken of it because these put the negative impact. These are the negative impact of tourism. Sir has chosen a topic, ecotourism. In ecotourism, the essence is that the community takes care of the resources which are there, and then they are also getting benefit of it. The cultural exhibition they can do, culture can be exhibited, culture, but at the same time it is protected. And then the socio-economic welfare of community is concerned with it. But here, what Dr. Neizo said, that some organization has to take the lead. For example, some NGO, because people they may not be aware about the benefits of ecotourism. Only big party, big businessman, big organization, they may be taking benefit from those places which are of the which attract the tourists, which are good place, good destination for tourism. But however, if some NGO is there which can make a bridge between the organizer, the government department, the tourism department, the forest department, the people, community, and make them understand in what way they can involve themselves in ecotourism activity as guide, as a souvenir for producing the souvenir, in what way they can have the homestay program, and so on and so forth. There can be many things. And then in what way they can engage themselves. They will not have they will not only increase their skill, but also they will gain in terms of their social capital, economic capital. And then it will be more attraction. It is very much attractive to tourists when they see the culture, the traditions which are there involved in that place. So we know that the biodiversity which is there in Northeast India, the biodiversity is rich. We are in biodiversity hotspot. At the same time, there is ethnic diversity. There is so much cultural diversity. Each tribe, it has got its own culture, own taboos, own belief, own system, own traditions, and they are very significant. So for tourists, if these things are combined, if ecotourism takes place in our soil, in Northeast very nicely, then of course in some places it is taking place, but if it is taken place in a larger scale, because we have got so beautiful place in whole of Northeast India, and so beautiful traditions in different states. So then it will really good. It will be really good for the people, for the community. It will help in the three ways. They will protect the environment. They will take part in conservation. They will, they will become the, not only the taker of the natural resources on which they depend, but they will also be the conservator of it. So they will be the manager of the biodiversity in that place. At the same time, the social implication is their cultural implication, their socio-cultural aspect as well as economic aspect. So really, I congratulate Dr. Neizo. You have taken a very, very nice topic. When I saw the topic, I was really happy because the theme is plan your action. And then here for Northeast, this is a message that really the high officials as well as the community and the NGOs which are involved there, they have to come forward, and then as a enterprise, as an activity, ecotourism has to come up. So thank you, Dr. Neizo. You have talked about Betula utilis, very important plant, rhododendron. The combination which you have shown in Dzukou Valley. I mean, I have not gone to Dzukou Valley. I was just imagining that how much it must be beautiful. The primula, the aconitum, very important medicinal plant you have told. So all those things you have told. You have told about the fire. Fire, you see, fire is naturally an ecological factor. Many species which are there, which are having the thick, this seed coat, for example. But you see, our diversity is very rich. Without any treatment, without anything, they are germinating. It is because one of the factor is fire, and it helps them in regeneration. So the other things we have to also explore, and we have to see. That will be for the scientific study, but this is just my observation. And then the very nice thing which I have seen in Nagaland when I have gone there myself, that that nitrogen fixing tree like Elnus nepalensis, it is we see in here in we are ecosystem people in Northeast. All of us, we depend on the ecosystem resources. Most of them, they depend on the ecosystem resources because the white collar job, they are less. And then these people, when they depend on these resources, they know the value of it also. Now the shifting cultivation is prevalent in Manipur, not only in Manipur, Northeast, Nagaland, and other places. So people talk the bad effects of it. Yes, there are impact of it on the diversity. But you see, at the same time, the how the people in early time, they were clever, and they have cut, for example, the Ulnus nepalensis intact. They have not cut it. They have not removed it. I have seen in, when I have gone to Nagaland, Kohima side and other places, I've seen that very beautifully they have conserved those trees. And then this in ecology we call as keystone species. When such type of keystone species, it is nitrogen fixed species. When such type of species there, naturally the soil fertility, it will be restored. So very, very, I really congratulate you. You have taken a very good topic, and I think our those persons, they are all, I think, PhD, our members, seat members, they are all from mental science or ecology. They will be definitely getting benefit of your lecture. Now, when we talk of biodiversity, we are talking of the different forms of life which are there on the earth. And then we know the importance that it is providing not only the essential goods and materials, but also the important essential ecosystem services to us. And then Kostanja long back, he has estimated, and then the paper was published in Nature, that it is giving more than 2 times the GDP of the whole world, which is there. It is more than that. So it is the significance of it, that how much, yes, it is there. That at that time when he has published in Nature in 1997, at that time the world GDP was 18 trillion US dollar, whereas the which he has calculated on the basis of ecosystem services from different ecosystems, it was 33.3 trillion US dollars. So in this way, we should understand what is the value of this biodiversity and how it helps us. Now we know about our people here. They are very traditional, and they depend on the traditional medicine. Everywhere in Northeast, they have got their traditional medicine men, and then they are treating the people. And then it is a system there. It is of course, people go to allopathy only when there are difficult diseases. Otherwise, the small things which are there here, they are all treated with that. So here, 118 prescriptions which are drugs which are there in the US. Out of it, 74% are based on plants. 18% they're based on fungi, and 5% based on bacteria, 3% on vertebrates. So this is the significance of biodiversity. So if we lost one tree due to our actions, anthropogenic activity, like if there is pollution, if there is invasive species, if there is forest fragmentation, if there is habitat loss, which all destroy the biodiversity, as we know, as we are studying the animal science and ecology, then it is costing every year about loss of 600 million US dollars. So it is used, and we have to take care and we have to plan our action that we should not disturb this biodiversity, because on this depend our existence. Now, world market for herbal drugs, it is 90 billion US dollars. For health foods which are available, it is about 500 billion US dollars. So, but as far as the world market is concerned, India is having only less than 2%. China, when we compare, it is having 10 to 12% share there. So that is why it is very important that our persons, they should also come forward and see. But here in the certification is very much needed, that whether your products are pure or not. Here I will give example. For example, we have got the this thing, Centella asiatica. And from Centella asiatica, you get the medicine for, rejuvenating the brain and for other diseases which are there related with it. 1 ton in India, it costs 600 US dollar. It is sold at 600 US dollar. The same in Madagascar, it is 3,600. That means 6 times more. So, because we have to see that the certification is there, we have to see that the contaminants are not there, and therefore agro technology is very much needed. That good practices, good agricultural practices are needed. That for such medicinal plant, they should be there available, and the people, they should work for it. Then I will talk about, for example, when we talk that our most of the terrestrial biodiversity, it is there in the forest. But here, when we talk of the deforestation, other thing, then every year we are doing some sort of plantation. Now these plantation, they are not the mixed plantation or some other things. The biodiversity is not there. Of course, the cover is increased. When we talk of cover is increased. So 3% of planted forests are there. But of course, 50% of forests in the world, they lack the management plan. So seriously, it should be looked after. This is the work of forest department. We are only the academicians, we can point out. So seriously, the forest management plan should be made for the forests which are there within the forests of different status, as well as the tree which are outside forest. They are also very important. Now we are living in the mega diversity country. We have only 2.5% of land area, but we have got 7.5% of globally recorded species. Out of the hot spots, 75% of biodiversity are on the hot spot, which are containing only 2.3% of our surface. And therefore, we know that how significant are these hot spots. Now, when we talk of our megadiversity region, I mean our Northeast India here, Indo-Myanmar hotspot, we know that out of the Indian angiospermic flora, we have got about 4,000 species out of 8,500 there. So in this way, in this chunk, how great diversity is existing, we can say. We have diversity of hedychiums, bamboos, rhododendrons, we have talked orchids, primulas, canes, and so on and so forth. And so many medicinal plants are existing there. At the same time, we have ethnic diversity. But at the same time, maximum disturbance has been caused also in this place by different activities of men. So that we have to take care that those things, they are to be checked. We have got the forest dependent people. We have got 6,50,000 villages in India. And out of it, 1,70,000 villages are there where purely the ecosystem man rather, that is who depend on the forest resources, or the natural resources, or the biodiversity, their livelihood is there, they live. So it is very important for them to make them part in the managing the system, so that the important, time, the reproductive phase, that is, they understand, of course, but they are exploiting the thing. So those things are protected, and then the maintenance is there, sustainability is there in the conservation, that they will be available for the future generation. We are talking of bioprospecting. We have huge biodiversity, but we are not making the money out of it. We are not able to exploit of it. But the thing is that a lot of areas are there. For example, exploring different type of foods, alternate foods. Now we are talking of millet this year. The different type of narcotics, poisons, medicines, pharmaceutical principles which can be obtained for it. Bioprospecting is needed, and it is the discovery of plant-based pharmaceutical which is generated through high throughput screening as well as ethnobotanical clue is also there. And therefore, but however, this ethnobotanical knowledge, this indigenous knowledge is disappearing very fast, and therefore documentation of it is needed. I have told all my persons who have worked with me, all of them, they have documented something. They have, though it's small, but they have contributed in some way in different part, that what type of plants are existing, what is their use, and so on and so forth, and publish. So this documentation is very needed, very much needed. And Dr. Neizo talked very nicely that how they are maintaining the biological registers. The community has to maintain the biological register. The scientific name will come later on, but the local name, the time, the flowering, the associated with that can all be recorded, and they are very important, significant documents which become available even to the future taxonomists, which will who will be there working in the field later on. So we are talking of conservation, in situ conservation, ex situ conservation. At the same time, we should also talk of reintroduction, because some of these species which are very, I mean, which have disappeared, whose populations they were fragile. In some way, if they are surviving, then we have to reintroduce them in nature, so that they will again, we will be able to see them, that they are again blooming and coming. So the molecular diversity assessment is also needed when we are talking of characterization of the species, and knowing definitely the identity of it, that what they are. So here the integration of traditional knowledge should be there with the tribal pharmacopoeia, I will say, because they understand that at what time what is given. They may not be aware of the scientific principle, but they understand that is through long years, many centuries of observations, and that is the uh, knowledge which UN is regarding, everybody is regarding, international bodies are regarding, and therefore the universities, the private sector, the research and development institutions, and public sector, all they have to come forward, so that we will have new interpreters, new traders, new agriculturalists, new volunteers, and these all should be taken up by some organizations, some NGOs who can come forward in this. Similarly, we will talk of the agriculture. We are using the pesticides, we are using the herbicides. So now the integrated management, pesticide management is talked over, where the different formulas they have discovered. And then our Dr. Varadarajan has to join from Canada today, but maybe he could not join today. And then he has worked very nicely on these pesticides, which are taken from the plants and also from the small insects. And we know that for producing one, it is about 12 billion per year it is produced. And therefore, this is the way in which we can help in understanding the diversity as well as their value. So IPM is the need of the hour. Similarly, when we talk of the medicinal plants, for many medicinal plant market is existing, but for others the market is not existing. For many medicinal plant, the agriculture, good agriculture practices, which we call GAP, they are available. For others, it is not available. So this is again a very important field for the persons to work, that in what way they can grow, in what way the seeds they will remain viable, in what way they can establish itself. So this is also one of the important sector where our different players can work, including the researchers. So what is the road ahead when we celebrate this International Day of Biodiversity? I feel that inventorization, documentation, and qualitative and quantitative evaluation of biodiversity, as Dr. Neizo has shown, qualitative and quantitative evaluation at Dzukou. So like that, these type of studies, they have to be taken. These are basic studies, but they are to be taken. They are important, because as time passes, the things they change, and then your thing they become the benchmark, that at this time it was there, and then how the changes have taken place. So for monitoring, these studies are very essential, and they have to be taken up. Similarly, for this, the manpower has to be generated. In taxonomy, there are many areas where the suitable persons are not available, because people are taking to other jobs which are more lucrative, like they will take the molecular biology or some other thing. But these are the basic sciences where the people have to pay attention. Especially we in ecology, we have to pay attention, because without it we cannot proceed. So we are tied up with that. subject. Similarly, the monitoring of population has to be done. We know some species, they are endemic, some are vulnerable, some are critical. So at what time they become critical, at what time they become vulnerable, so these are to be studied. So the association of that species in its surrounding, it is to be studied, and then it becomes very important document. For example, when we are talking of Sangai, Dr. Daisy worked for Sangai, so she has worked out the whole complex, that what type of vegetation is there, how the villagers they are coming, how they are affecting the surrounding area, how the livestock is grazing, how the diversity, vegetational diversity is changing. So these type of studies they are required, and they are to be continued also from time to time, to see that what things have taken place. Because we know that in Abulamja Park, which is only the floating park on the earth, that place, it is on the corner, on the periphery of it, the many these livestock they are intruding, and then the small endemic population, it may be affected by the disease, mouth and foot disease, it may be affected, it may be having some genetic problem, it may be having the invasive species are there like brachiaria, mutica, so which is affecting the other gramineous species, and the cyperaceous species, cyperaceae family members of it, they are growing. So these are things are to be monitored. So we have to take the action at the local level, at the state level, at the national level, and join our hands at the global level, so that we will also I think we have to develop the consortium of the different institutions, the research and development organization, the university, the NGOs, the volunteers, they should all come forward, and then they should plan the action that we have to preserve this diversity, which is our precious gift of God. It is our heritage, and we have to take care of it. So, with these words, again, I thank our speaker, Dr. Neizo. I thank for having a very, very nice topic, and especially ecotourism. I really, it is a catchword rather for today's lecture, and it is really, you have done good. So I congratulate you. I'm thankful to Professor Tiwari ji for encouraging us, for being a see, he is there in USA, but there is a lot of time difference, but he has managed to be here with us. Thank you, sir, for encouraging us. All my seed members, I'm all thankful to you. No, so now over to Biteswari.
Thank you, Professor Sagupta. May I now request Dr. L. Ustarani, Assistant Professor of MB College, to propose vote of thanks. Over to Dr. L. Ustarani.
Thank you, Biteswari. Good evening, honorable speaker, respected professors, and all the participants. On behalf of the organizing team, I took the privilege to propose vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank our esteemed invited speaker, Dr. Neizo Puro, Department of Botany, Nagaland University. Sir has highlighted on biodiversity, the essence of ecotourism in Dzukou Valley, Nagaland. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Sir for sharing and inspiring us by his nice and interesting talk on the beautiful Dzukou Valley. Next, I take the opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to Professor Tiwari ji and other distinguished professors, faculty members, research scholars, and students whose presence made the webinar a success. I wish to express my gratitude to retired Professor Asa Gupta, convener of SIT, for her untiring minute-to-minute guidance and support, and for providing encouragement at every point of time in organizing this webinar. And a big thanks to all the members of SIT for support and making this webinar possible. I would also like to thank Mr. Santos Nahakpam, Program Officer, for his technical support. Without him, this webinar may not be possible. Once again, I would like to convey my gratitude to everyone here for taking time to join us today and making this webinar a huge success. Thanks everyone, with the hope of seeing you all again in the next webinar. Over to Viteshwari.
Thank you once again. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form so as to avail the certificate. Now, I take the permission from convener of C to declare today's webinar